hello, everyone. We are thrilled to be here joining us for, you guys are here joining us for lunch break. These are conversations that we host every weekday at noon on topics that interest our communities, from managing stress to small business solutions right now and parenting. We have invited the experts from our community in these topics to guide us and share us in their wisdom at this time. Today, we're going to be talking about accountability while in quarantine. We've got some amazing people today. We have Christina Ruddick, an entrepreneur, and Mariana Lopez, the catalyst for self-discovery and healing, and our favorite magical unicorn. Betsy Castor, who's the founder of Hello Betsy, a virtual assistant group, and Stephanie Diaz, a fitness professional. So welcome, everybody. All right, so for the audience on Facebook, if you guys have questions during this conversation, this is meant to be a conversation, and we would love to know what your questions are. So just post them in the chat and we will get to them. So welcome, Comadre. So
Hi.
We always start this off by asking the same question, and it is, what are you grateful for today?
I'm grateful. I'll start. I'm grateful for just internet and Wi-Fi, making communication with people outside of my house possible, and virtual schooling. So just I bow down to whoever came up with the idea for internet, because I am so grateful to have internet and Wi-Fi and that ability to connect with others.
Very nice.
Yeah, I would have to say the same, to be honest with you. In the past few days, that's all I've been thinking about. Thank God for Wi-Fi. Thank God for technology. And, I'm happy that I kind of jumped into the virtual world before everybody else was doing it. Because now, I can kind of give tips and advice on what I've learned from working virtually, because it's getting, used to it. So I'm just grateful for technology, and that I took advantage of it, at an early stage, I guess. And happy to be here as well.
Nice.
So I am grateful for sunshine. I have some colleagues in northern Minnesota, and they opened their house to snow. So I'm happy we have the Florida weather to enjoy. Even though I do like 30 minutes a day, I can't do the beach, but I'm still grateful for it.
I've been really grateful for the slowdown, to be honest. I've been calling this time the Great Pause, and I've just been really grateful to have that time for myself, to have time to bring to the forefront things that have been on the back burner for a long time, which could be as simple as cleaning out my toiletries. In that sense. Also with Christina, the weather, I think we're super lucky to have the weather that we have during this time, and I've been going out for walks daily, and just really looking at nature, just really, I can't hug people, so I'm hugging trees, and I'm just thank you so much. I'm grateful for the lot Miami is so lush, so, and I feel green is very healing, and soothing for our eyes. So I'm grateful for that too.
Very nice. And today I am grateful for being completely well. I have recovered completely from COVID-19. I am very happy to be back here and breathing totally normally. So it feels very good. All right. So today we're going to be talking about accountability, and I think in the quarantine, there's a lot happening, right? There is the slowing down and the get it all done, and there's a middle, right? And in that middle, I think, is sort of where we want to be having that discussion today. You're not forced into doing anything, but you are also you're not forced to be completely not doing anything, or you're not forced to be learning all of the things. So wherever you feel like you are, but how you want to hold yourself accountable, there are many practices for that. And so my first question for you guys is like, what is your practice, or how do you hold yourself accountable? Go ahead.
So I can start if everyone's okay with that. Number one, and I did a lot of reflecting going into this call, is making sure identifying values and making sure my values align with my goals, right? So that is part of my prioritization process. So a long time ago, I figured out if those are incongruent, I'm not able to hold myself accountable. There's always something stopping me. So especially when COVID-19 started, I had to look at my values. Like self-care was a value before, but became more of a priority. So I wasn't going to be able to check off the endless SBA applications, and now I'm helping my stepfather fill out his SBA application for his business because he's lost. So I wouldn't have been able to be there for my business and other people's businesses if I didn't prioritize self-care. So that's kind of like my process, like going through my weekly goals and making sure those goals, and for my goals, I use on my phone, I use Google Calendar kind of goals. So I like to be able to check off did it and look and see how many times a week I did it. And I am big on accountability. You guys just asked me to be on this call. Like, it's kind of my thing. And even though that's me, I very rarely do 7 out of 7. So for me, a win is 5 days out of a week, 4 days out of a week. If I only do 2 days, I usually reflect on, why didn't I prioritize my self-care that week, and what did I let get in the way? So that's my little trick for like the goals. And I don't set more than 3 goals in it, because then it's too much. It's just white noise.
Nice.
Yeah.
I know. Was someone else going to talk?
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, for me, I've given it, obviously, it's been like a month at home, and I'm at home with my kids and my husband. It's just too many people. I think the biggest thing that's helped me in terms of being accountable is readjusting my expectations and knowing that the way I'm functioning today should not look like how I was functioning a month ago before everything. So I think that's, for me, that's been a huge part in understanding that I'm not going to get everything done like I used to get done, because everything is so extraordinarily different right now. So adjusting those expectations, it also helps me adjust to what the reality is. So it's like, I'm not going to accomplish 10 things today, and that's okay. And it's totally, it's fine. So I think the biggest thing for me has been adjusting what my expectations are for what I want to accomplish, for what I want to be accountable for, and then giving myself the grace to know that because things are so unique and so different right now, it's going to be okay. So there's a little bit of a release of tension that comes with that. And then really, even like Christina was saying in the self-care, it's not so much just doing it 7 days a week, but doing it a few days a week, or even just understanding what are the things you want to be accountable for. I think that like there's a big, that's a big question. It's like, what do I want to be accountable for? What do I want to get done? And then how important is it that particular thing gets done today, tomorrow, or this week? So I think for me, it's been a lot of just adjusting and then forgiving myself, forgiving the people around me as we all try to navigate this new situation.
Nice. Betsy?
I want to say that's something that's been helping me a lot. It's self-care, definitely self-care. I mean, I want to like piggyback, I guess, a little bit on that one, but it's always been self-care. I feel like I can never do, and I've noticed that if I start my day working and I didn't do anything for myself first, everything that I do is like, I guess, half done or half-assed because I didn't take care of myself first. And something that has helped a lot is simply making sure that I take that time to do something, whatever. Sometimes if I have the time, I'll do something quick, like maybe just a 5-minute meditation, or maybe just shower before I start anything. And the days that I can do something longer, I do a longer meditation, I journal. But I always pick also the main 3 things that I want to be held accountable for during the week, like 3 big top things. And I try to balance that between maybe something related to work, something related to personal. But then between those 3 top things, every day I have a different set of top 3 things. And if I don't get it done that day, maybe I do a little bit more the next day. But the point is that to have like the big 3 ones for the week, and then little by little during every day, do something to get me close to the bigger goal for the week. But the same, every day I have to start with something that's taking care of myself first, and that helps me to do everything else. And then it doesn't even feel like a lot of work. And of course, understanding that if it didn't get done today, you still have tomorrow and the day after, especially if it's a Monday. I try to do everything on a Monday, but realistically speaking, I can't. It's impossible, you know? So I try to do whatever I can that day, and then just move it a little bit towards the rest of the days if I had to like maybe balance it out or something. But always start with taking care of myself first. That's the main thing for me, at least.
Mariana, our accountability guru over here, always helping us get ourselves into accountability. What is your practice?
So first of all, like I accountability is incredibly empowering. It's such an empowering tool, and it is also a place for so much clarity, because sometimes we say we want to do certain things or we want to be certain things, and then when it comes down to actually holding ourselves accountable, we start to see that really it might not be that big of a priority anymore. And so it's like, oh, it's okay. You know what I mean? I can perhaps, you know, let me try this a couple of times. It's definitely not working. Okay, I can let it go. Let me hold myself accountable to the fact that maybe I don't want to learn how to, I don't know, make coffee, you know, whatever it is, because we have that tendency of, we see that other people are doing all of these other things, and so then we must do them as well. So I'm going to learn how to, I don't know, speak French. And it's just like, maybe not, you know what I mean? In that sense, in regards to accountability, for me, the most fun that I have with it, and for me, the most important part of accountability is actually your accountability buddy. Is who you choose to hold you accountable for whatever that is. And in my case, I have different accountability buddies depending on what it is that I'm wanting to accomplish. So if it's something in the physical, right, it might be another yoga teacher, or it might be a trainer, right? Like, for example, right now I'm on a 30-day challenge to learn how to do handstands by myself, like, you know, keep a handstand. And so I have her that she holds me accountable for that. And then I'm learning other things. And so I have a teacher that holds me accountable for, you know, my study hour every day, et cetera, et cetera. And the other part that I want to add to what, you know, the ladies were saying is setting ourselves up for success, right? Like setting ourselves up for success, like kind of what Betsy was saying. We know that we're not going to accomplish everything on Monday. So maybe don't put everything there on a Monday. You know what I mean? Like you want to build confidence around your accountability before going to the next level of it, in that sense. So I very much write out every week what it is that I want to accomplish on a personal level, on a professional level, on a beingness level. Like I want to experience more joy. I want to experience peace. I want to be off my phone. You know what I mean? And so I schedule my entire week. Like Christina was saying, I don't really put more than 3 or 5 things a day that I want to accomplish. And then I have other people hold me accountable to that. I ask for support. Hey, can you help me with my handstands? Make sure that I'm doing it, you know, et cetera, et cetera.
Very nice. So how do you guys decipher between like the difference between like what I want to hold myself accountable for and the shoulds, right? So I think that a lot of times what happens is there's a lot of stuff in life that we should do, right? All the time. society will tell us, our children will tell us, our parents will tell us, life will tell us, our business partners will tell us, all the things that come at us. And a lot of those are shoulds. Some of them are things you know want to do, but like they don't always make the list in terms of accountability, right? So like how do you decipher between these?
So here's my blunt advice: to hell with the shoulds.
Exactly.
Just to hell with it, F it. You know, you can be pressured, you can be in the meeting, the boardroom meeting, you can be in a webinar, you can be talking to your mother, you know, make sure, for me, make sure I do blah, blah, blah every day. Make sure I change the trash in my bathroom every day, because that's her accountability measure of her having a organized house. No, not a day in hell am I going to worry about that. Like, that's not my reality. That's not congruent with me. So you don't need to be rude, but you know, that little voice in your mind, if it doesn't fit with who you are and it's not true to your authentic self as something that you should be spending mental energy and time on, then kindly nod, give a smile, and go on and about your business. That's my advice. And it's my practice too.
Yes. Yeah, and that's like what you had said about like lining up with your own values, right? Like if it's not in your set of values, then it's not on your list, right? Any other advice for getting rid of the shoulds?
I would say, if anyone's ever read anything by Rachel Hollis, she has, in one of her books, she talks about like, if it's not a hell yes, then it's a no. So I think of a lot of the shoulds are that, like, is this, or at least my question, or the question I ask myself is, am I going to try to make an excuse for this later? And then if I do, then I recognize that's a should. Like, if I really wanted to do it, it's just going to get done. Like, it's going to be, like Christina said, in line with who I am. But if I say, yeah, let me do it, and then think of an excuse to get out of it or postpone it, then I know that's something that's a should. So I think for me, it's very much like, okay, if it's hell yes, then awesome. Like, that is something I want to be accountable for. I'm gonna be in it really like excitedly. But if it's like I don't know, then that's a should for me.
Yeah, I feel the same way. If it's something that keeps getting postponed, that you keep postponing and delaying and postponing and delaying, that it's definitely a should. It's something that it's not getting done. Another thing that I do a lot, it's constantly remind myself of what are my goals this year, because I kind of have like every year I kind of pick a theme of what my goals are going to be for this year. And I'll be honest, I'm one of those type of people that kind of gets distracted by shiny objects. I'll see something cool and automatically make, oh my gosh, I want to learn that. And then I put it on my to-do list and it keeps getting pushed away, or I start doing it a lot and then my goals of the year kind of got pushed back. So what I try to do is I try to revisit my goals weekly, once a month, and then like a big quarterly meeting that I go through everything to see if maybe, because sometimes, you know, maybe you picked it for the year and at the end, maybe it wasn't something that you want to spend the whole year trying to make it. So it's constantly going back to the goals that I agree during the year. And whatever it is that I'm going to do, is it getting me closer to those goals, or is it slowing it down, or is something that I just keep putting it for next week and next week and next week, and then automatically that's a should. Out is either has to be getting me closer to my yearly goals, or it's something that I'm going to do and get it over with, not keep pushing it and delaying it.
So anytime you hear the word should from yourself or from somebody else, it's 100% coming from ego. And when it comes from ego, it comes from a place of lack. And usually when you're saying, I should do this, it's coming from a place of lack, and it's coming from a place of judgment, and it doesn't feel good, right? Like I should be doing this instead of that, or I should have done that, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And so when we want to create something from that space, already from that space of judgment and already from that space of not enoughness or scarcity, chances are we're not going to do it. You know what I mean? Or chances are what we're trying to do here is like reinforce some sort of limiting belief instead of clearing the mind, you know what I mean? Getting very still, coming from a place of love for yourself and saying, okay, what could I do? what do I want to create for myself? And every day you can make that choice, right? Like whether or not you accomplished it, like every day we have a new moment. Every morning it's, well, every minute really, but like every morning it's like, all right, I can start over. Whatever it was, yesterday is gone. Whatever it is, I have a new moment to create from this place, from this like present place, and from a place of love. And the same goes for other people. When other people are telling us what we should be doing, that is their own judgment, right? Like that's on there. And it sounds very different from me saying, hey, you should brush your teeth 3 times a day, versus me saying, you know what, Stephanie, you could brush your teeth 3 times a day. Couldn't, like, you know what I mean? The could and the should already, it's coming from a different place, and we feel it very, very differently. So it's also languaging in that sense. And if you're putting things on your accountability list that come from a place of should, I will bet you all the money in the world that you're not getting it done, because it's not innate. It's not really coming from you, from like, higher being, what I mean, who we really are. It's coming from this place of not enoughness.
All right. I love it. And so let's say we have gotten ourselves very clear on what we would love to be doing, right? We are clear now. We've got a big, scary, awesome goal that we really, really want to align with and have come into our life. What are some of the ways that you can like set yourself up for that level of success?
Oh, so I have a couple things that, first of all, and it's been proven scientifically, you write it down, right? And you don't even have to necessarily review it every day, just the process of writing it down. The other thing, which is super annoying, is getting into your why, like deep into your why. And then if you're finding you're not holding yourself accountable, why that also? So I'm going to give a personal example from a super long time ago. I wanted to do certain things, and I found myself always putting off the applications or putting off the time or letting life get in the way. And I couldn't figure out like why I wasn't able to achieve like simple things that I knew I should be able to achieve, whether it's like applying for scholarships, applying for grants, getting the business plan together, things like that. And it came down to nothing to do with what I thought it prioritizing. And what I found out actually when I was reviewing an audiobook, Lean In, was I was a chronic perfectionist. And one of the outcomes of perfectionism is procrastination. And until I addressed that underlying why, I was not able to achieve. I was not able to hold myself accountable because I was focusing on the wrong thing to work on. And that goes back on the self-care. So sometimes you have to be willing to seek out even professional help, a sounding coach. Like if your goal is to be at a certain health level, but you're emotionally eating to console a trauma or something like that, and you solely focus on the nutrition side of the equation and you don't focus on the why side of the equation, you're not going to reach your goal. And so that's a hard process because it's not clear cut, right? So you start with writing it down, but then you have to have self-observation. And sometimes it also takes a sounding board. So that could be an accountability coach. It could also just, quite frankly, being a psychologist, and you make a couple counseling sessions and you go in and you're like, I know I can do this, but something's not right here. And letting that process take its kind of go through the process and getting to a place. And once you're in that congruent space and you're really addressing the whys, things just blossom. And then you kind of know, okay, I'm in the right path and I'm able to hold myself accountable. And then accountability doesn't become this thing, right? It becomes fun, actually. It becomes.
And these are the things you want to do. So it should be a fun exercise of the things that you are wanting to happen.
You start getting that endorphin rush when you check off the little list.
Yeah, I say that writing it down is a big part, and write as much as you can that you think is going to take you to accomplish it. What I do is I write what the goal is, and I step by step of what needs to be done. And yes, the why is powerful, but lately what I feel about has helped me a lot has been my accountability buddies, because whenever I tell them, this is the next step that I need to do, I know what I need to do. I put it on my to-do list, but if nobody checks on me, that sometimes kind of like takes a toll on me. And one of the things that I love about Las Comadres is my accountability buddies, because I tell them what I need to do. And whenever it's time to report, I have to say something, because before Las Comadres, my accountability buddy was my husband. But whatever I would tell him and I wouldn't do it, he would just be like, "Oh, okay. I mean, you're a grown up. If you didn't do it, you know why you didn't do it. I'm not gonna like tell you anything about it." But with my comadres, my accountability comadre, I can't. I have to say something to them. I have to come back with something. I have to report. So I say writing it down, and also tell somebody, I'm gonna do this. Can you hold me accountable? And then for them to help you. That's been the two main things that have helped me with that lately.
For me, so I think whenever there's a big goal that's set, it's very much piggybacking on what the ladies have said. It's like writing it down, getting really clear as to what the goal is, and then also understanding why are you chasing that particular goal. Like what not so much the why, I guess, but what's the purpose of going after this goal? What is it that you're hoping to bring into your life? What are you hoping to let go of? And then again, much like the ladies have said, it's building up whatever your support group is, whatever your network is. For me, it's people who I am comfortable enough with them seeing my cranky, ugly, whiny side. Because when you're chasing a goal, there's going to be setbacks. So I think even understanding that there are setbacks, but if you have people, like if I can come home and just like cry and say, wow, that really sucks. Why am I why am I going after this goal? But to have that support group that's like, hey, remember, this is it, or just to kind of boost me up is really important. And I think also, like, one of the things I do with my run coaching clients is when they come and they start working with me, I have them set up, like, that's one of their homework assignments, is create your list of your support group, everything from physical therapy to your PCP to who's going to wake up early with you when you run, who's like all of that, so that when you reach these points in, for instance, again, in your training process where you hit that setback, you don't even have to think about it. Like, the decision making is done because it's already been done. You've already established before you set out to achieve that goal, here are the people that I need. So I think a lot of that too is when you're going after a goal, making a lot of the decisions before you start putting in that daily work of the goal, so that when you reach whatever setbacks or the next stage, that decision-making process has already been done. And every time we have to make a decision, that just takes a little bit of mental energy and emotional. It's like taking withdrawing from that emotional bank every time you've got to make a decision. So if you can work on making some of those decisions before, it's all just planning out the goal. So for me, it's thinking about, okay, what are my setbacks going to be? What can I do today to prepare for tomorrow, prepare for the next 6 months, or whatever the case is? And then who do I want around me that when I'm grumpy and grouchy and full of attitude, they're gonna hug me. They're gonna hold me and they're gonna be like, Steph, you're having a bad day, but it's okay. Like, it's all right. This is part of the process. Because I think we also need those reminders from people that are outside, the people who are objective, for them to be like, hey, remember, like, this is part of it, and it's gonna get hard, and then it's gonna be easy, and then things are gonna come up that you're not expecting, but you've got this. So I would say those are my tips.
The last thing I'm gonna add to what the ladies have said is especially in Las Comadres, we have incredibly visionary leaders, right? And we have incredibly visionary entrepreneurs. And sometimes our visions and our goals are so big, right? I want to be a Fortune 500 company, but I started last week, right? And it gets so big that it becomes a very daunting, and it becomes very, very paralyzing in that sense, and we don't know where to start, et cetera, et cetera. So one of my biggest things that I tell everybody is cut the mammoth into little digestible pieces, right? Like focus on your big toe. Like this is one step at a time. Awesome. You've got your vision. You've got your why. You're going to turn this into a, Fortune 500 company. Step one, LLC. You know what I mean? Like Like, yes, that is your vision. And then now let's cut that down and break it apart into these smaller digestible pieces. So you're building that confidence and you're starting to check things off of your to-do list, and you're holding yourself accountable for that. Because accountability, really all it is, and the word says it itself, you're just accounting for. It's the same that we do with our numbers, with our taxes. Like, how much money did I spend? How much money do I have? We're allotting it. It's just like, it's a way to figure out where I am in my life, whether professional or personally, right? And then what do I want? Where do I want to go from here? In that sense. And that's what I mean by how empowering the tool is, because it's not to be used of like, oh, bad, you know what I mean? Bad, Christina, you didn't, do your lunges today, et cetera, et cetera. It's more of a place for me to be able to look and say, oh, okay, well, I keep saying that I'm going to do 500 lunges a day, and I'm doing that once a week. So I get, I hold myself accountable that I am saying one thing and I am doing another thing. Great. So I'm not in alignment. I get to look at it and shift, right? And shift and set something else up for myself, and then go to an accountability buddy and say, hey, can you hold me accountable? I've changed this. I am now going to do 500 lunges twice a week instead of every day, because I haven't been able to hit that goal for the past 3 weeks, which means I'm out of alignment. That's it. New moment. Start again.
Yeah, I like it. And I think that that's like one of the biggest things in accountability, is that like you don't have to do, just because it was your goal does not mean that that has to be your goal until like you die or you hit it, right? Like you can there's a middle, like you can be like, I'm going to realign that. I'm going to see where there's an adjustment period, and like there's a lot of power in that adjustment. If you guys on Facebook have any questions for our amazing people, let us know. We are more than happy to answer them. So when you're picking accountability partners, what are you guys looking for? Mariana, you want to start?
Sure. So I tend to pick people. So it depends on what it is that I want to be held accountable for. And so depending on that, I will think of a person. Usually it's people who are more disciplined than I am, especially about practices. You know what I mean? Like certain practices in the physical realm. So I will pick someone who discipline and consistency is easier for, and who very much want to support me in this. Right? They're very much like, yes, we want to support you, and they're going to hold me high, is what I say. They're not going to let me get off of my own hook, because we have a tendency of doing that. Like, yeah, okay, I
like
said
what Betsy's husband was saying.
Right? like Betsy's husband. Like I said, I would read for an hour. I read for 45 minutes. It's okay. You know what I mean? And like grab my phone. So I have a tendency of picking people from different walks who have different perspectives. But what we do share is our commitment to hold ourselves accountable, right? They're going to take it seriously. They are going to check in on me. And if and they're going to be a safe, neutral space to be that sounding board, right? So it's not, I said I was going to run 3 times a week and I only ran once. Stephanie's my accountability buddy. I don't want her, quote unquote, shaming me for not doing it. I'm going to go to Stephanie so she can, get me back up on that horse, right? In that sense. So you definitely want people who are very supportive of this, and who can be neutral, safe spaces for you, and who are, potentially also taking themselves on in whichever realm that may be. So then you both can kind of like root each other on.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything to add?
Am I grazing my hand like I'm in school? I do. Um,
Stephanie?
I'm like, I've been watching my kids too long. I was going to say it's interesting because I have a tendency to pick people that are not related to anything in any of my goals, because I think sometimes I get so caught up in my goals that I need someone that's completely outside of it to be like, you need to chill, one, and two, similarly though, I still need someone to boost me and be like, you know what, like, I'll give an example. One of my favorite stories I love to tell is I was running the Chicago Marathon a few years ago, and I was just suffering big time. I was not having a great time. I was at mile 22 of the course, and I sent my husband a text message of like, this crap sucks. And his response was, this is my number one accountability person. His response was, ha, you paid to do this. And he's not a runner, he's not any of that. But that response was kind of like a, okay, yeah, let me snap out of whatever bubble and negative stories I'm telling myself and just continue on. Like the fact is, and that's that accountability is, I did choose to do this. So for me, it's really helpful to have people that are not in the same field, that they can snap me out of when my mental talk gets to the point that it's debilitating. And then also, like, for me, like, another really important thing of accountability buddies are people that I feel really comfortable texting at any time of the day. Like, anyone, like, if I can text you at 11 o'clock at night saying my life sucks and you can respond, or maybe the next day or whatever, just, I need to feel that level of comfort. Again, it goes back to me feeling comfortable and being my ugliest self with the people who know that that's not my permanent state. Because I think once we get into these negative cycles, we think that's it. There's really no change from here. And for me, having those outside people that are not connected to what I'm doing is really helpful in me understanding that whatever I'm feeling is temporary.
Nice.
So I'm a little bit of the opposite. I think early on I was looking for accountability in the wrong places. Like, they're like looking for love in all the wrong places. So I was in a women's group. I paid to be part of a women's group. It was focused on female entrepreneurs. And it was a 9-month program. Towards the end of the program, we went over mindset and like our big audacious goals. And I noticed everyone else in the group had these very small goals compared to my goals. And I was like, okay, this explains why this group isn't taking me to the next level. They're not really putting me on track of where I want to go, because it was a mismatch. So my goal was like a multi-million-dollar exit for app technology that I'm still working on developing. And then I just started looking for groups. Even, I had paid for that group, but I started looking for groups that were specifically for tech entrepreneurs, right? Because that they would have like the experience and the knowledge base to help me move through the steps and tell me the questions that I didn't know I needed to ask. So that's where having someone that has the experience and kind of has walked the path that you're looking to walk, because you don't know your unknown. So that was the one thing for me. The other group that I've had fun with is the group of people that are going, and a way that we've held each other accountable, because the group was kind of like, okay, yes, you had a horrible week, don't worry about it, you'll get back on track. Yes, you've had so after 6 months of none of us getting any of our goals done, nothing done, we came up with the anti-charity, which has been used in different accountability groups, which basically is like, so if I'm a Democrat, and I don't meet my goal in the next week, I have to donate $5 to the RNC. And if I'm a Republican, I have to donate $5 to the Democratic Party. And then the next step was like, if I don't meet my goal the following week, I have to make it public that I donated. So like the concept of the anti-charity is then you're being forced to support something that's against your value system, and that feels icky, right? And embarrassing, and like, you know, so it's like makes you realign your life with your goals. So those are the two things that I've found work for me.
I like those. I like the anti. Sometimes you need pleasure and pain, right?
Yeah.
Betsy, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, well, with accountabilities with Las Comadres, we kind of were just put together, but it worked out perfectly. And it's like the first group of accountability that has worked out for me. And I think that what worked out a lot was the fact that we were not in the same field. We are all like in different areas. And when it comes to the business, and we were so aligned, like we were so comfortable with one another that I was able to be vulnerable whenever, which is something strange for me. I don't like being vulnerable, but for some reason they made me feel so safe in that space that it was okay for me to cry, and I didn't feel bad that they were seeing that side of me. So that's another thing that I feel like that helps, you know, being with somebody that understands you when you're feeling down, when you're being negative, but it's not gonna like, oh, okay, you're feeling bad. Let me pretend you never said you had a goal. It's a balance of, you know, letting you be vulnerable when you have to be, but pushing you when you're just being lazy. So I feel like it helps, you know, being in comfortable with the people that you're setting up the goals with or telling them to hold you accountable, and that they're not in the same field as well. And something that Christina just mentioned right now is that she wasn't getting higher with in the group that she was in. I feel like that's another thing. I feel like all of las comadres, every single one of you have like a different mentality compared to all the other women that I've seen. Because I remember that, and before this, I had another accountability buddy, and you know we would set goals to go work out and everything, and I would always be the one pushing it and pushing and pushing it, and we would get stuff done. But when I needed the push, nobody was there to push me. So it requires also being with somebody that, you know, it's just not going to be taking all of your efforts, and then when you need the push, they're not going to push you back. So it has to be that as well, the same mentality, or at least just, you know, holding you accountable, returning the favor type of thing.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Do you guys have any, what do you use resource wise, right? Marianne, do you want to say something?
Like you read my mind.
You're like,
because I wanted to, so for anyone who wants to create their own accountability group, you know what I mean? First and foremost, pick your people, however many people that you want, whether it's 2, 3, 5, 6, 10. I mean, everyone can create their own accountability group. You just all need to be in agreement, right? Like you all need to be in agreement in regards to what you're holding each other accountable for, the method of which you will be communicating what you want to be held accountable for, the check-in times, right? And then going back to what Christina was saying, are there going to be consequences? You know what I mean? Like in the sense of, oh, like let's say you create a physical fitness accountability group. All right, if we don't hit the goals that you said that you were going to, then you got to do 10 extra burpees on Saturday morning, you know, whatever that is. But you have to make sure that everybody in the group is a yes to those ground rules and a yes to those agreements and the way that you're going to do it. So for example, I have an accountability group. We have phone calls, or well, we used to get together, but we have bi-weekly phone calls now. Before we would do a bi-weekly phone call, and then we would actually physically get together once a month, basically. We have a WhatsApp group for all of us that are together. And then we have a Google spreadsheet where each of us has a column of these are the things that I am going to accomplish by the next phone call or in-person meeting at that time, right? We have our calls every Sunday. So we all have a conversation, you know, et cetera, we're each given 30 minutes, like we time it. We are each given 30 minutes. And then by Monday morning, all of those promises or all of those things that we want to do must be put on the Google Doc by 12 o'clock the next day, right? And if not, you have to buy everybody a cookie. So, you know, like things like that, because we have that as well too. And that's what works for us. And it's something that you can try out, and you can also shift it depending on the group and depending what it is specifically that you're holding yourself accountable for. But again, I would set it up and try it a couple of times, because at first, for example, we wanted to do weekly calls, and then we figured out it was just too much. So the bi-weekly really works for us, but for another group, it might be weekly, So it's like you have that liberty to create what works for you and have it work for you instead of against you, and always be open to shifting it as long as everybody in the group is in agreement. And we also had ground rules that kept you in the accountability group, right? So if you missed more than 3 calls, if you didn't have your weekly promises up, on the Google Doc, more than 3 times, et cetera, you had to leave the accountability group, because that's the way we created that container, what Betsy is talking about, where we're all receiving support and giving support to each other. It's not just one person responsible for like pulling everybody forward.
Nice. Do you guys have any other resources that you use? Apps or ways to keep track of what you are doing?
So like I said, I use Google Calendar, choose a goal setting, and you can put anything in there. It has like preset activities, and you can put how many times a week you want to do the goal. What I like about it is it auto schedules for you, and then it kind of makes space in your calendar for you. So if you're using a Google Calendar or some sort of export to Google Calendar, that can show you when you do have time for your goal. And then if that time, you're never hitting that time, then you can manually go in and change it. And then the AI will suggest more realistic times based on your habits. So I think any type of app that allows a learning AI to fit you is better than something that doesn't. I also do like a planner, like something that this is a Commit 30 planner. And what I like about it is every month it has like the monthly goal and then action steps. And if you notice, there's a monthly goal and 6 action steps, right? The first time I did that, in that little bubble of the monthly goal, I wrote like 10 different goals and I had like 50 action steps. And then I said, wait a minute, there's obviously a problem here. This isn't working. So
this is where the whole problem lies, right?
Yeah. So having some sort of realistic template or guide that can help you. The other thing is really figuring out what you want and finding a group that matches that for me. So like I said, if you're a very ambitious entrepreneur and you want to create something in scale, finding an accelerator that fits for you where you're at is ideal. So like I was pre-seed, and all of the super click, like everyone talking about all the accelerators were Series A accelerators. But I was like, we don't even have a wireframe for our technology yet. I basically just have this awesome idea and I know it's going to work, and I have a customer feedback and blah, blah, blah. So I had to really search out an accelerator that matched where I was at, not trying to make myself fit something else. So that concept of not trying to remold yourself to be ready for your group. Find your group that's a good fit for you. That's like really paramount and something
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, something that I would really add would just be get the physical planner to write things down. I do have I've been through so many planners, and right now my favorite one is the Michael Hyatt Full Focus. And what I love about it is that you can add your goals for quarterly meetings, the yearly goals. But my favorite part is the fact that you can add the personal goals and the business goals, because I feel like, everybody says you're not what you do. So I have my area in which I have my goals for the things that I have to do because I need to make money. And then I have the one for my personal goals. And that planner helps you to kind of like balance them both. Have your personal goals and have the business goals. And so my favorite planner is the Full Focus by Michael Hyatt, and the other one is the Passion Planner because they make the same division, and the Passion Planner is a little bit more affordable.
Stephanie?
I'm like, I'm piggybacking on everyone with the planner. I know in terms of like fitness, there's a journal called the Believe Training Journal, and that one is just such an excellent journal because it divides it up weekly, and then it prompts you for this week's focus, and then you kind of write down every day because there is a lot of power in writing things down. I know the way I use it is more at the end of the day. That's my check-in with myself. So I don't write what my workouts are beforehand. It's kind of at the end of the day, as I'm processing the day, that's my ability to kind of check in and say like, oh, I did all this. Now that was cool. Was it manageable? Let me do it tomorrow. And again, with fitness, I think a lot of it too is finding a way to like repurpose your time or multitask with time. So I know like, I always try to tell people like, oh, do you watch TV in the evenings? And most of the time people will be like, yeah, I watch TV. Well, then while you're watching TV, take that as an opportunity to stretch or to move around or I don't know, do something. Or if you're watching TV during the commercial break, do some jumping jacks or something like that. But I'm a big believer in that Believe Training Journal. They even have one that's like compete and then I think it's just being really clear. I think that's it. Like just being really clear. Like Christina said, it's like she first started out, she had 50 goals, and it's like, do you really need to accomplish all of that? No. So what do you need to accomplish? I think it's just like, what do you need to accomplish to feel like you accomplished something? Just get real clear with that. Like, what do you feel good? Like because honestly, like we're not going to judge each other. Like, so it's really the person who brings, I feel like the full weight of judgment is yourself. So it's like when you lay your head down at night and you close your eyes and you're alone with your thoughts, do you feel like you accomplished what you wanted to accomplish? Do you feel like you did too much? Do you feel like you didn't do enough? Like figure that out. Just be really clear. Like I think there's just sometimes less is more. And that's it. And what's the quality of what you're trying to do? And then focus on that and then figure it out because it's so individualistic. I mean, we've got like, I've heard so many different things from just us of the approaches we take and what works for us. And I think it's really figure out what works best for you and then lean into that. And also just know that as the goals change or as you seek different things out, what you need to do to support that goal, to make yourself accountable to that goal is going to change as well. So like maybe I had a goal where having an accountability group was key. And then maybe my next goal is going to be one where it's like, no, I don't need that accountability group. I need to be able to write and have that quiet. And so it's also just being really adaptable to what you need and being flexible. It's just be flexible in how you're approaching what you need and then be honest with what you want to accomplish, what feels good. Ultimately, it's just that. It's like what feels good to accomplish, because when it feels good, even the hard stuff is going to feel like a success.
Exactly. All right. So for you guys, what is we are going to start wrapping this up. What is the one big goal you've got going on right now? Who would like to start?
I can go. I mean, my goal right now is really to just scale my business and make as much passive money I can out of it so I can go back to college for my master's in psychology.
Very nice.
I'll share. Honestly, my goal right now is just to make it through this coronavirus lockdown. It's really, really basic. I said it a lot. Like it's truly my goal right now is to lean into love. Is kind of what I tell myself every day. Is just lean into love, lean into compassion. So my goal is really that. It's approach everything with compassion. When I have kids. So like when I get frustrated with them, just like lean into that. So instead of getting upset, like go give them that hug. And that hug is going to kind of shift the mood for all of us. So honestly, my biggest goal right now is to get out of this to get out of this and be able to look back and think, wow, even though that was weird, it was such a wonderful time for me to get to know myself better, my kids better, my community better. So it's just that. It's figure out what can I do each day to make the best out of this so that when we're on the other side of it, I'm looking back on it fondly and not with any regrets that I somehow missed out on an opportunity to deepen whatever could have been deepened.
I like it. Christina.
So my big goal is to get our app technology to market. We're still on path for that. A little bit more bootstrapping than we wanted to do, but yeah, that's the goal by the end of 2020.
Very nice. Mariana.
My big, it's true. I have a handstand goal. We
are all holding you accountable.
Working on this handstand. I will film it when it happens. So apart from the handstand and learning the Hanuman Chalisa, which is a very hard mantra, my goal is to really figure out how I can be more of service through online and virtual, because most of what I do is classes and one-on-ones and personal. So I've been very much sitting and figuring out what platform I'm comfortable with and what it is that I want to offer, not only to Las Comadres, but to the community as a whole. So this COVID-19 is actually happening at such a perfect point for me in my life, to be able to take this time and this pause to kind of to recreate myself and fully step into catalyst and coach and yoga teacher, and so everything has been around deepening my connection to that and deepening my studies and my practices, as well as sitting and listening a lot on how can I give back? To which I want to offer Las Comadres who are watching this right now, or who are going to watch it later. If you are interested in accountability within Las Comadres, please post it on the Facebook page. Tag me on it. Let us know that you would like to start accountability, like Betsy was referring to, with other fellow comadres. And Jamie, Gabby, Mio will figure out how to pair you up. So you can start having an accountability group if you don't have one right now within Las Comadres. Please just take 5 minutes, say, I'm interested, tag me on it, and we will find the right group for you within Las Comadres. And I'm super happy to jump on a Zoom and set you guys up so you can carry it forward on your own afterwards, the same way Betsy has with her accountability group.
Yes, thank you. And we always love when there's success within the accountability groups. There are some really great ones in the community. And thank you guys. We are so grateful. Thank you. Christina and Stephanie and Betsy and Mariana, you guys are amazing. Thank you for always modeling all the great accountability that goes on in this group. Our community is being challenged by this moment right now, just like everybody else. So if you would like to donate to the community or to anyone here that they are being impacted as well, and the information is on the Facebook post. We will see you guys next time for lunch break. We are doing this every day at noon, a different topic every day with different comadres. So we will see you soon. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Amy. Thank you.
Bye.
So much fun.